students, welcome to DAV Moyle Public School. I hope you are doing great with the chapter of weather, climate and adaptation of animals. This is the third video of this chapter. Without wasting any time, let's proceed. Now, the foremost question arises, what do you mean by adaptations in animals? Adaptation is basically a feature which a living creature inbuilds in order to survive, in which the living creature is living. So in short, as you can see, there are n number of living creature present in the world. So this living creature adapt according to the environment in which they are living. That is adaptation. No matter if you take an example of plant as well as animal, these two are living creatures which you will find in the entire world. So these living creatures adapt according to the environment in which they are living. So that is environment. What exactly they does in order to survive, that is adaptation. Now this adaptation in animals, here we will be mainly focusing on adaptations in animals. We won't be focusing on adaptations in plants. So here it is adaptations in animals. As you can see, some living creatures are there. This living creatures, this is a kangaroo which have been found in Australia. This, if you take an example of this kangaroo has adapted according to the environment in which this kangaroo is living. So that is adaptation, for which he has developed his or her own temperature. This kangaroo has even developed a pouch so that he can manage her baby. And these adaptations you can generalize in terms of two things, like behavioral adaptation and structural adaptations. Now behavioral adaptations mean and how an animal survive, what an animal does in order to survive, that is a behavioral adaptations. For an instant, if an environment is not favorable for a living creature or for an animal to sustain, so what exactly the animal does in order to survive, that is behavioral adaptations. Again, if you take an example of this kangaroo has adapted a feature of carrying or developing a pouch so that she can carry baby. That is a behavioral adaptation which have been made by kangaroo. That is behavioral adaptation. And structural adaptation, modification in body parts in order to survive in the surrounding. Yes, modification in body parts in order to survive in the surrounding, that is structural adaptation. If you take another example, like monkeys has developed a tail. Monkeys often have a tail so that they can climb on different parts, different trees and all, and climb according to the trees in which they are living. So they have developed a structural adaptation in their body. That modification is the structural adaptation. If you take the example of this flower, this is a stinky flower. What does the stinky flower does? Stinky flowers smell very rotten or very bad smell. It usually gives a very, very bad smell, a very rotten egg sort of smell. That smell attracts insects, and because of which insects come over here, and pollen grains over here stick to it, and reproductions can occur. So what exactly this stinky flower does? The flower has adapted according, because it was not favorable for reproductions. So stinky flower has developed his own adaptation of giving a rotten smell in the environment, because of which insects are getting attracted. And since insects are getting attracted, pollen grains are happening. Pollen grains are sticking to it, and with the help of this pollen grains, reproduction is occurring in this stinky flowers. Another example, that is, as you can see, different birds go from one place to another place in different climatic conditions. If the climate is not favorable for these birds to survive, so they travel to some other different parts of the world. And that is again a behavioral adaptations which have been introduced into the birds by themselves in order to survive. So these are adaptations in animals. Now Here we will be mainly focusing on different parts of the entire world in which animals have been adapted according to the situation in which they are living. Now, animal adaptation in polar region. Now, what exactly do you mean by polar region? Polar region are the extreme side of the world. As you know, polar regions, we have two polar regions, that is North Pole and South Pole. Antarctica, Arctic oceans, Arctic region, these are nothing but a polar region. So climatic conditions in polar region are always extreme side, which means it is always and always a snowy one. There is an extreme cold and most of the areas are covered with snow. The sunrise and sunset persist for 6 months only. Sun rises for only 6 months. The winters are so cold that the temperature is minus 37 degrees Celsius. So the temperature over here is minus 37. The animal living in these conditions include polar bear, penguins. These are certain animals which live in this polar region. Now, since we have discussed polar region is simply a snowy condition where the temperature is minus 37 degrees Celsius and it is not possible for other living creature to survive over there. So some living creatures like polar bear and penguins reside over there. So how they reside? Because they have modified the adaptation, because they have adapted in the situation in which they are living. So what does penguin does? A penguin has adapted in the polar region. So what exactly penguin does? So let us see. So penguin, it is white in color. As you can see, this is a dorsal side of a penguin. This is the dorsal side. As you can see, it is white in color. So it has adopted a white feature. As you can see, snow is also white and this dorsal portion of a penguin is also white. So it will create a camouflage in terms of predators and in order to even catch prey and all. So this adaptation have been done by penguin. Thick skin and a lot of fat protect it from the cold. As you can see, this penguin are fat as structural modifications. So they are fat because since they are fat, so the skin is very fat. They huddle in group in order to keep themselves. As you can see in this picture, n number of penguins are present over here. They huddle together, means together in a group, which means they always stay in a group. Why they stay in a group? In order to keep them warm. Since majority of the areas are compact, because many penguins are in a group. Since they are in group, the environment in that particular zone is a warm one. They have webbed feet and they streamline body. As you can see, these feet are webbed in, from which, since the feet are webbed, extreme cold cannot enter into their bodies. And they have a streamlined body. As you can see, a narrow sort of structure of penguin is there, which looks like almost similar to a small boat sort of thing. Streamline means a small, this sort of thing is a streamline, a similar structure of a boat, that is a streamline structure. So penguin has a streamline structure because of which they can swim. Now other animals like other animals in polar regions are this one, polar bear. Now as you can see, this picture is of polar bear. So this polar bear has again adapted according to the environment in which they are living. In this even this polar bear reside in polar areas. So what exactly they have done? They have white fur. As you can see, white fur is there in their body, again to camouflage, so that they can create camouflage. Snow is also white, they also look white, so they develop a camouflage from because of which the predators, they can protect themselves from predators and even develop a trick to catch prey and all. Prey means in order to survive, they will have to hunt also. So since they structure is white and also snow is also white, they hide in such a manner that they can catch prey and eat them also. Two thick layers of fur act as an insulator protecting them from surrounding harsh climates. So this polar bear have a too thick layer. The polar bear carries out physical activities like swimming in order to keep them warm. This polar bear carries out swimming. Why is it so? Because if they swim, since they are swimming, body is in active motion. Since body is in active motion, amount of energy released is more. Since amount of energy released is more, heat is also generated by them. Since heat is generated, they will survive, or they will develop a body temperature which is favorable according to the conditions. In order to avoid overheating, they move slowly and rest often. They often do not move very rapidly. They move very slowly and steadily so that they cannot get overheated. A strong sense of smell. They have a strong smell so that they can catch other animals and hunt them. They remain unsubmerged underwater, closing their nostrils. This polar bear submerged underwater and reside for a longer duration because they have adapted according to the situation, and from water they catch prey and starve themselves. Now, the other adaptations of animals which have been found in tropical rainforest. Now, what exactly this tropical rainforest are? Tropical rainforests are located near the equator and have a hot climate. As you have seen the entire structure of the globe, there is a line which is passing. That line is known as equator. So, whichever country lie in that equator zone, that is a tropical region over here. The tropical rainforests are located near the equator and have a hot climate. Majority of the countries which are located near the equator have a hot climate. So temperature in summer goes up to 40 degrees Celsius, and in winter it goes around 15 degrees Celsius. This region receives plenty of rainfall. Since the temperature is favorable for living creatures to survive, a number of rainfalls do occur in this region. The countries which are residing in this region, rainfalls are plenty. Since rainfall are plenty, plants and animals starts to develop a habitat and try to live over here in this particular region. So this is the tropical rainforest. In short, tropical rainforests are the areas which are located near the equator. Here the temperature in summer is 40 and in winter is 15. Here plenty of rainfall is there, because of which plants and living creatures starts to develop over here. Now, animals found in tropical rainforest, as you can see, this is a red frog. This red-eyed frog has a sticky pads on his feet which help in climbing trees. Since this red-eyed frog are found in tropical region, this red-eyed frog has a sticky pads. As you can see, this leg is sticky towards this leaves, because since these are sticky, they can climb over the trees and hunt themselves and hunt insects and all. Now, toucan birds has a long beaks. As you can see, toucan birds has a long beaks. This is a bird which is known as toucan, which has a long beaks that help in reach fruit and present on the slender branches of a tree. It also helps to hunt insects. This toucan birds have a long beak. Since this long beak help this toucan bird to reach fruit that are present inside the slender of a branch of a tree. As you might be knowing, or you might have seen, that some parts of the fruits are residing deep inside a tree. So this toucan birds has adapted a long beak so that from this beak it can go deep inside tree and get the required fruit or the desired food which this toucan bird is looking for. And this beak even help toucan birds to hunt animals like small insects and all, and they can survive. Now, another animals which have been found in tropical region, that is lion-tailed macaques. As you can see, this is a lion-tailed macaque. This is somewhat similar to a typical lion. which is a hairy hair near the mouth region. So that is, as you can see, if there is a note, it is almost similar to a lion, but this lion-tailed macaques are found in Western Ghats. Western Ghats, it is located near the Arabian Sea. These regions are hot and humid, and majority of the times rainfall is occurring over here. So these animals are found near the Western Ghats. One lion-tailed macaques are mainly found on treetops of long trees. They are omnivorous and eat fruits and leaves, insects, and they even eat insects, small insects. So this is lion-tailed macaques, which have developed a habitat of living in Western Ghats, which looks like a lion. They eat both plants, plants and insects in order to survive in tropical region. Now, other animals which you will find in tropical regions are elephants. Elephant is the largest mammal in the world, as you know. They are mostly found in Indian rainforest condition. You will mainly find elephant near Indian rainforest conditions. They have a long trunk. As you can see, this elephant has a long trunk. With this long trunk, they can catch, or they can hold different branches, or they can even eat with the help of this trunk. They have a long teeth so that they can tear the bark of trees. Large ears. With this large ears, they can even detect very small intensity of sound. So these were certain animals which have been found and adapted according to the environment in which they are living in. Here in this video we have, let's summarize. In this video we have, firstly we have studied about adaptations. There are two types of adaptations: structural adaptation and behavioral adaptation. In structural adaptation, how a living creature adopted the features in order to survive, as well as behavioral adaptation, how an individual or how a living creature started to live in our environment. Then we have seen adaptation in polar region. Then we have seen some animals like polar bear, penguins, how they starts to live in polar region. Then lastly we have seen about what are tropical rainforest conditions and different animals like lion-tailed macaques, elephants. These were certain animals which we have studied. So I hope you have understood this concept. Thank you and have a nice day.